Wake up in the grind, clock ticking, 20 minutes flat, freedom main-handed, knives built with the real.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the 20-Minute Freedom Project. I am your host, Josh Lopez, and this show is for those who want ownership, discipline, freedom, and to build the life they have always wanted, one that is earned and not handed to them. Today's episode is called The Bullshit Meter. You have one, I have it, we all have it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And you could stand in front of someone listening to them talk. And something in your body, maybe it's your gut, maybe it's your mind, maybe it's just something you're not quite sure of, but you know there's something off. Maybe your shoulders tighten, eyebrow goes up, gut says, that's not true. It doesn't matter how smooth they are. They could be the smoothest talker in the world. And it doesn't matter how confident they sound. It doesn't matter how good the story is. You can smell that bullshit from a mile away. We've all been there. A cheesy salesman trying to cut you a special deal. The guy exaggerating his wins. Person telling a story that doesn't quite add up. And what's funny is that we don't even need proof. We don't need the evidence. We just know. So here's the question I want to ask you today. If you can smell the bullshit that easy on other people, what makes you think you can lie to yourself? The answer is you can't. And that's what this episode is all about. Most people don't really sabotage their lives on purpose. They don't wake up one day and say, you know what? Today I'm going to lie to myself in everything I do. It's more subtle than that. It's comfortable. It's sneaky. It's like the old Indians would say about the coyote. It's a very sneaky coyote. You got to watch out for him. Maybe it's the lies you tell yourself are, I'm working on it. I'm getting there. I'm trying. I know what I need to do. I just need a little bit more time. I need more information maybe. But here's the truth. The self-protection and deception that you try to lie to yourself about, that's not protecting you. That's delaying you. And delaying is expensive. There's a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson I want you to think about just for a second. And how many times did it fits into our lives so many times? What you do speaks so loudly that I cannot hear the words you are saying. That applies to how you judge other people and absolutely applies to how you judge yourself. Because deep down, you already know. You know if you're actually disciplined. You know if you're committed. You know if you're actually doing the work. You don't need the motivation. You don't need the affirmation. You don't need another podcast episode. Unless it's this episode. You need to be honest. Truly bone-crushing honest with the stories you're telling yourself. There's a popular idea out there that says, fake it till you make it. And I get why people like it. There's a time for a place for it. You're saying you're new to something. You don't know exactly how to do it. You're going to suck at it first, and you try to fake your way through it. Well, that's all fine and good in that instance. And it sounds empowering and optimistic. It sounds like confidence. But here's the problem, that you can fake things externally for a while, like if new in sales, or maybe you're new to a different project or a different field. You can fake confidence on a call. You can fake certainty in public, but you cannot fake belief internally. Your brain knows the truth from what you say internally, your behaviors, your habits, and your results will always expose you for the truth and show you what you truly believe about yourself. That's why people say all the right things and keep getting the same outcomes, because their belief is not built on words. Their belief is built on actions that they have to take. There's another quote that works perfectly here. It's self-deception is a protective mechanism, not a strategy for growth. Because if self-deception keeps you comfortable, then how do you grow? Growth requires friction. You do not build belief by telling yourself you're disciplined. It might be the beginning stages, but it is not where you build your ultimate discipline. You build belief by doing disciplined things long enough that your brain has no other choice to accept it. Because your brain is looking to make you honest, and your actions tell it what it to believe. The thing that always comes to mind when I think about that is, I don't know if everyone knows what I'm going to refer to, but it's a cartoon that's called The Jetsons. There is a part of the cartoon where I can't remember the guy's name, but he is sleeping and he is imagining himself working out. You can imagine all day, but if you're not actively in the gym, nothing's going to change. You're not going to lose that spare tire imagining that you're on the treadmill. Well, there are studies that you will get stronger if you repeatedly vision yourself doing the thing. I get that. But nothing is better than actually doing it. Because when your actions don't match the story you tell yourself, you feel misaligned. And instead of immediately changing behavior, your brain usually changes the story. It says, I'm tired right now. I've been busy. This season is different. Or I'm in a difficult season. I'll lock in next week. That's your brain trying to protect you from discomfort and looking for a path of least resistance. But protection and the path of least resistance is not going to lead to your end goal. It's not going to get you to progress. And the longer you protect yourself from discomfort, the path is not going to get easier. It is going to get harder. The harder and harder the path will get because you have made the decision over and over again to do easy stuff instead of the hard stuff. That's why we need to be brutally honest with ourselves, because it cuts through the noise. But once you feel it and once you honestly see it, you cannot unsee it. Let me give you a real example, not of a personal thing, but something out in the world, and it was an experience that I had. I was at a fair with my bonus daughter. We were walking around having a good time, and I was meeting her boyfriend at the time for the first time. Good kid, respectable for the most part, nice enough. We were talking, just casual conversation, and he started telling some stories. Nothing too crazy, just little comments, little things that he would make very extravagant. And as he was talking, I could feel it. As we started, basically the bullshit meter was going off. My eyebrow would go up. Think of The Rock. That signature eyebrow move. If you know me and you've actually paid attention to kind of what my face does a little bit, that eyebrow is a dead giveaway that I don't trust what you're saying. Now, I let a couple of them slide because not everything needs to be corrected. Cadence called him out on a couple things. And honestly, I could get it. Sometimes people are just nervous. But a couple of the comments just got a little bit too much of the bullshit meter. Man, it was going off. It's not really offensive or anything, just not true. So I called him out on it, not aggressively, just not to embarrass him or anything, just playful, calm, just enough so he knew I knew. And you could see it. He shifted the conversation a little bit. He would backpedal a little bit. He caught on. He did it a couple other times. And I think there's a couple other corrections in there too. But here's the thing. I wasn't trying to dominate any conversation that we were having. I wasn't trying to prove anything. I was responding to something that I could feel. That internal bullshit meter. If you or I could feel that in another person, just in conversation, why would you think that you are immune to it internally? Going back to the beginning of the episode, you know when you're cutting corners. You know when you're avoiding something hard. You know when you're telling yourself a story instead of actually doing the work. No one is being fooled. Not your body, not your mind, and certainly not your results. And all you're doing is you're telling a story that is not the reality, because you can't convince the universe you're doing something you're not. It responds to your behavior, not your stories that you're telling others and yourself. And that's one reason people get stuck, because they think that belief and stories come first and then the action. But that's actually really backwards, because the action becomes before the belief and the confidence. You don't wake up believing you're disciplined. You become disciplined by keeping promises that are, frankly, inconvenient and sometimes just a pain in the ass to take care of. You don't wake up believing you're confident. You become confident by showing up, doing hard things, even when it's uncomfortable and awkward. You have to go through those times to get there. We have all had friends or acquaintances where you're just like, that guy is a little bit weird. He's a little bit awkward. And then you meet him again and you're like, this is a totally different person. They put in the work to change. We all have that time where we're a little bit awkward. It's part of growing up. It's part of being through life. You can go through certain things. You get a different job. You're not fully confident in the section you're in. That comes with time. You get confident about things that you weren't confident in before, because every promise to yourself is a vote for the person that you say you want to be. And when you break your promise to yourself, you're voting against it. And the votes are either adding up in your favor or they're adding up against you. And the results don't lie. And here's another layer most people don't actually think about and realize, that once your brain has been told the same story long enough, your brain starts looking for proof. And if you believe you're lazy, you'll notice every skipped workout. You'll notice different things that makes you lazy. You'll start acting more lazy because your brain wants you to be truthful and honest. It's looking for all those different things that add up to make you that way. Your brain filters your reality to match your identity. Because if you're going to, for example, want to be disciplined and you push and do the actions, you'll start noticing all the reps that you're putting in, all the disciplined actions, all the showing up when you don't want to, getting out of bed and going to the gym, going on that run, making that sales call that is uncomfortable as hell, and you don't really know how you're going to sell that person because for some odd reason they just intimidate you. It doesn't matter what it is. It starts looking for the reason to prove that you're actually that way, which also means that if you're lying to yourself, it's not doing you any justice. It's just creating more of a stall and stopping you from progressing. It trains your brain to defend the lie. That's why we need to catch it early. And you need to call yourself out on it and stop telling yourself that story that is ruining your outcomes. The longer you run that story, the harder it is to shut it off, because you have to change the identity that your brain thinks you are. So you might wonder, what are the costs of self-deception? Some of those costs can be anything from time, energy, trust in yourself, respect, momentum. And the biggest cost? You stop believing your own words. You say you're going to do something, and that part of you just doesn't believe it anymore. That's a real dangerous place to be. Because when you don't trust yourself, everything feels heavier. It's harder for other people to trust you. You are letting your bitch voice run the show. And that's no place for any of us that want to achieve more in life. That's not any place that we want to be. And the solution to this is not more motivation. It's not more affirmations. It's not pretending harder. It's alignment. Say less, do more. Make small promises to yourself, and you're going to keep them ruthlessly. One workout, one conversation, one phone call, one follow through. Because belief is built through small promises kept to yourself when no one is watching. That's what matters the most. If you're going to take anything from that, belief is rebuilt through small promises kept to yourself when no one is watching. The times you're in office and no one else is around, no one's watching over your shoulder. What are you doing? Are you actually being productive? Are you keeping promises to yourself? If someone really matters to you, maybe it's your partner, maybe it's your kids, maybe it's your parents. I don't know who it is. If they watched you every day from sunup to sundown, would they be proud of the person they get to see on a daily basis? Would you be proud for them to see everything you're doing? If the answer is no, I would challenge you to rethink what you are doing. But getting back on track, I want to ask a question, or I want to give you a brutal self-audit that you can ask this question to yourself tonight. You are going to stand in front of the mirror and you're going to look yourself in the eye and ask, if someone watched my actions for the last 30 days, what would they say I truly believe about myself, and would I be proud about it? Not what you say, not what you would post, not what you hope they would say, what your actions prove. And your answer to that question tells everything. If you want to take that a step further and you ask your closest friend to be brutally honest with you, no fluff or justification, to fill the awkward time after they've answered your question. You're going to ask them pretty much the same thing. From what you've seen over the last 30 days that I have done, what would that tell you about how I show up? And you're not going to try to justify or give them some kind of answer afterwards. You're not looking to protect yourself in some way because what their response was hurt you. You were looking to see the truth and be able to use that to better yourself. Because if you don't like the answer, it's time to make a change. So I have a freedom challenge for you today. For the next 7 days, you're going to pick one promise you make to yourself. You can pick more if you want, but that doesn't mean that you're going to fulfill all of them. You're going to pick one and you're going to track it. No affirmations, no excuses. At the end of the day, or as you're going about your day, keep a journal of your feelings and the stories you've told yourself. You're going to use that journal at the end of the week. And at the end of the week, you're going to ask yourself, what did my actions say I actually believe about myself? And what are the stories that I'm telling myself that are producing the actions that I make on a daily basis? You're going to review that journal of your feelings and stories and find out what it told you. My bet, the feelings and the stories that you are seeing are going to show you a pattern. And remember that you cannot change what you are not measuring. So you're going to take that information and you're going to use it to adjust. That's how real change starts. You have to be brutally honest with yourself, and you have to admit that there's a problem. You can use this challenge as many times as you want, and you can use it in different areas. Maybe you used it for your work life in particular, and you decided that you're going to skimp out on your relationship side. So use it there. Your goal is to find the stories that are not serving you and weed them out. You're going to act like a gardener, and you're going to go through that bed and you're going to pluck out all those weeds, all the thistle, all the dandelions. You're going to pull them all out one by one. And over time, you'll see the difference. Not to mention, those around you will see the difference. And that's how we're going to make a change for the better and make it so we can actually achieve the things in our life that we truly want to achieve. If this episode helped you think clearer, act stronger, take action, or maybe take ownership in some way, share it with someone you care about. That's how this message spreads. And if you haven't yet, please leave me a 5-star review for the show. It tells the platform this message matters, and it helps reach more and more people who need it but haven't found it yet. And remember that freedom isn't found. It's built one decision, one action, and one story elimination at a time, even though it's uncomfortable. So good morning, good afternoon, and good night, and I will catch you guys on the next one.